24/7, 365. The fantasy season never dies. Welcome to Every Day is Draft Day. Presented by Champions Round.
Welcome to the latest edition of Every Day is Draft Day. I am your host, Eagle Dan FF. Joining me, as always, Steffi Smalls. What's up, Steph?
What's up, Dan? It's Friday. The Masters are on. I'm happy. I've been consuming as much of the Masters as I possibly can.
Yeah. I noticed that everyone on Twitter is a huge golf fan, apparently. And I'm just
it's always this time of the year where the casuals come out, which is lovely.
I was like, none of you have ever talked about golf ever in my life.
Yeah.
Everyone loves
golf. You all golf. Now everyone's a golf pro. Everyone's a golf pro Masters week.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah,
I was like, okay,
it's fun.
Good to know. Good to know we have all these closets.
Forget the Masters, though, because we have something way cooler. Well, it's not.
Yeah,
well, I think it's way cooler.
Champions Round has rolled out the brand new game called Big Board Showdown. Woo!
Woo! No, but it's actually awesome. It's so much fun, especially leading up to the draft. I'm going to let Dan do a spiel about the settings, but it scratches every little itch that you will have from now until the draft with fantasy football, with bet, with everything that's involved in this.
Yes. Okay, so basically the rules are you're in a traditional draft setup, but you're drafting rookies. And basically where the rookies get drafted, they each get a point total applied to them. So you're drafting it's one quarterback, two running backs, two wide receivers, a tight end, one offensive line, one flex player, and four defensive players. So you get to draft everybody. Everyone's included in this one. It's great.
Everyone gets a piece.
Everyone. So the points breakdown is, so if you do picks 1 to 5, it's 20 points. 6 to 20 is 15 points. 21 to 40 is 12 points, and you go all the way down, round 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. If they're undrafted, you get 0 points. Sorry, but if you end up hitting on Mr. Irrelevant, that's 50 points. So big bonus.
Pretty cool.
So basically, what you need to do is just decide to see based on how much you get to spend, what players are you going to be, what players are going to be drafting for their spots.
Right.
Obviously, you're going to want to draft someone like Aiden Hutchinson because we all know he's going to be top 3 pick. But what are you going to do after that?
And you can have up to how many teams, right? You could have as few as 6 and up to, last night we did one with a bunch of people with me, and it was 12. And those are a little bit more difficult. You have to be very careful, especially with where you end up drafting from. You have to be strategic in when you're I had the 7th spot last night. Mm-hmm. And when I did one prior, I think I had the 4th or the 3rd, which is nice. Those first 5 picks, you could probably give or take what is going to happen, for sure. But then, what I did, which is crazy, is I ended up taking Malik Willis because then I didn't have to worry about quarterback. And I know he's going to end up going in the first round. It'll probably be, depending on where you think he's going to go, very well could be for like a top 10 pick. And then I don't have to worry about quarterback later. And then, some of these classes are a little bit deeper. If you don't get one of those first, elite tight ends, you go and you fade them until the end. Or, with running backs, I've caught myself at fading them a little bit and just getting them at the end. I know that a team is going to end up starting to take guys 3rd, 4th round. So you get some points for it. And then, the defensive class is so deep that you're in a position where, the wide receivers too, they have good first round value. I went, you could take Drake London and, he might be on this board off way later than he's going to be off the actual board.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Yeah. And it's interesting based on how the roster is breaking down, because you only need one quarterback, one tight end, one flex, and one offensive lineman. You definitely want to maybe, like you said, take that Willis, take that, Evan Neal or Cross or Igwonwu or someone like that is going to be up there high. And then you don't have to worry about it for the rest of the draft. You're going to get those points. They're going to be high picks. Right. You don't have to worry about a quarterback after Zap, the quarterback just falls off a cliff. And now you're just hoping that you get, any kind of points for anybody, because once that happens, the quarterbacks are going to, drop way down in the draft.
Right. So, and I keep going with Penning too. Like the last 2 drafts that I did for this, I take Penning because I know that he's going to go somewhere in the first round. Maybe I'll end up getting a little bit more points for this at the end because he goes a little higher, but I'm pretty certain he's going to end up going somewhere in that first round. And then I have my, one of the linemen. That's if I don't get one of the other ones. You also could take him as a flex player too. So there's so many ways that you could go about it.
Right,
you just
absolutely.
have to hit those, the one QB, 2 running backs, 2 wide receivers, 1 tight end, 1 O lineman. But you can use an O lineman. And then you also get you just get a bunch of defensive players.
Right.
Awesome.
Yeah, I think the defensive players is definitely going to be, I think, one of the hidden, keys to winning something like this, because, whenever we talk fantasy, you have IDP, but the prevailing wisdom is everyone's just doing, redraft and dynasty with offensive players. So a lot of the people, don't really know about the defensive players line. And obviously you have like the big names like Hutchinson, Thibodeau, and, the cornerbacks and stuff, Hamilton and stuff like that. But if you can, do a little research beforehand, you can maybe take, a linebacker that's going to be around to like a Chad, like Muma and stuff, and get like, around 2 level points, later on the draft when people are, reaching for the quarterbacks and stuff like that. So definitely something to consider there as well.
Right. Because there's a lot of teams, right, with linebacker needs. So these, and I definitely would queue guys up is one of the bigger things, especially last night that I realized, because where they line up in the app or in the ADP of this might be different than, where you think they should go. Because if all the cornerbacks are gone, but then you still have some of the top linebackers there, you might want to go that way. Last night, speaking of, so McDuffie went one of the way later rounds than I would have expected it to, but you can get those values that are still going to go earlier in the draft. So that's where to look, like who is still available and when are they going to go in the draft. You have to like it messes with you a little bit, and you only have 30 seconds. So it's super stressful.
It is very stressful. And it's definitely something that, a little bit of, just glancing and research beforehand will definitely be helpful. But you make complete sense. There's going to be like defensive players, like defensive tackles, like Winfrey and stuff. They're going to be 2nd round picks.
Oh yeah.
And people just don't they're not going to pay attention to those when you have like the Burks and the Londons and, the Wilsons and all those like flashy receivers and running backs and stuff, and like Hall. But those are the guys that are going to win you the showdown, is the not the wide receiver, the running back, the people that the positions that everyone likes. And those guys, it's the defensive players and the O linemen that people don't. So definitely, doing, zigging when everyone is zagging.
Zigging and
zagging. Serpentine. Definitely something that I personally will be doing a lot of.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's also staying up to date with, what trade rumors or what's happening, what's, the Eagles and the Saints are doing some weird tango. What does that mean for who's going to be gone? Who gets signed? Who needs a quarterback? Is it okay to wait on a quarterback? Because, after those couple quarterbacks, and think about it, if you're in a draft with say it's there's 12 teams, there's not 12 guys that are going in the 1st and 2nd round. So if you can get out hot, I think getting your quarterback is very valuable. Definitely one of those top linemen too, filling out those spots. Because Cross is going to end up falling a little bit in this draft. He's not going to fall in the NFL draft though. So try kind of like making them parallel, but in how you can connect the two.
Yeah, absolutely. Especially like what you said with quarterback. Once you get past like Howell, Ritter, and Corral, like you are in trouble. Like you need in 12 teams, if you don't get one of the top 5 guys, just don't even you might as well
write that off and just wait for a bit. I don't even know who I ended up with actually in the first one I did, but it's a little bit easier when you have less teams. There's a lot of value there, but when you have one of these bigger leagues, you have to just make sure don't get caught with one of, you still have to take a quarterback. So that it has to be on your roster. I guess you could play defensively too, if you wanted to, and take 2 of the top QB, because that could get thrown in your flex. So it just depends on where you are and what you prioritize. But I think the defensive players, especially, you can sometimes dodge them a little bit because there's a lot of room to add.
Yeah, absolutely. But don't, if you do get stuck in a run, don't panic, because if everyone's reaching for a QB, that means there's going to be like an Evan Neal available. There's going to be like a Johnson or a Hamilton, someone that another position that's going to give you just it's going to make up that difference in points pretty quickly, even if you don't have a QB. So don't panic. There's a plenty of positions that you can go to. There's plenty of places to pivot anywhere in the draft, even in a big league. In a big league, for me personally, in my the way I'm doing these drafts, and I'm definitely going to focus on defense first, because I think a lot of people will be focusing on offense because that's what people are more familiar with, they're more comfortable with.
Yeah.
Is the offensive players. That's where everyone talks about the offensive players. So if they can, even if you don't get a QB, if you're stuck with like a Zap or whatever, someone outside the top 5, but then you turn around and get Kyle Hamilton and Evan Neal, you're still in it,
Exactly.
Don't despair if like you miss on a guy or one of the top guys isn't there. Just go a different route, load up a different position, and you're still in. You can still win.
Yeah. I mean, I guess be careful too. This is something I didn't even think of until you started talking. Maybe be careful with those first couple picks there, because if Evan Neal doesn't go in the top 5, you're using that early pick to take a guy that's not getting you the full point. So you have to be careful with some of those guys and who you really think is going to go in those first couple picks, because then it drops off after 5. So you have to nail those too, because then you might end up getting screwed, especially with depending on who everyone before you took. Right.
Absolutely. Yeah. And in the later rounds, especially, and this is more important in the 12-team leagues, get those receivers and running backs later on in the flex, because it's a very deep draft, but people are going to be scooping them up. So definitely, take advantage of what the surplus of players is in real football, and use that to your advantage in the showdown game.
Yeah, absolutely. And just pay attention to, the guys that not everyone's talking about. James Cooks. This guy he's been doing visits all over the place. Guys like Dameon Pierce, teams are going to take running backs. So don't be afraid if you need to, dodge the first couple. There's still going to be value. Like even yesterday, I'm thinking about the wide receiver position. Like Alec Pierce was sitting there for a very, very long time. A team's going to take a gamble on him, and it's going to be earlier than maybe you would expect, because all you do is hear these like same 5 names over and over again. But the way to do this is to know the later rounds a little bit more.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, someone like a Jerome Ford, Tyler Algier, someone like that. Someone that's going to go that has some good hype behind them. That's had some good performances in the Senior Bowl.
Exactly.
Focus on them too, because they're gonna they're not the name guys, but they're gonna be the ones that go in the top 2-3 rounds, 2, 3, and 4, and still get you those points.
Right. And I'm gonna be talk to Jason about doing like once, twice a week up until the draft. So the next whatever we have left, because it's coming up fast, we'll do like a couple lives and have people on while we're drafting and having dialogue about it. And it's awesome. It's so much fun to do with your friends too, because it gets it gets you talking like, oh, why did you take that guy? What do you know about that guy? Yeah. And it's a blast leading up to the draft, especially when you're starting to get bored with like the news that's coming out and the same top 5 this, top 5 that. It gets you excited.
Same mock drafts. Saying the same
it's
thing.
the same old. This is so much fun. I'm literally so excited.
Yeah, and honestly, it'll make you pay attention to the real draft player, because in these later rounds, you're going to be looking at people that you haven't really heard of, that everyone isn't talking about, and like, oh, hey, I drafted that guy.
Not wanting to pay attention towards the end there, and this makes it fun, because you're gonna be like, wait, I have to see if my guy got taken in the 4th round.
Yeah, exactly. You'll get invested in those guys that go in round 3, 4, 5 in the real draft now, because you're gonna need them for the game.
Yep, exactly.
So yeah, we're really excited to roll this out for everyone. We hope that everyone has a good time playing it. As Steph said, we're going to be signing up ourselves, so you can try, come and beat us at our own game.
But fun. You can try.
You can try, yeah. I mean, you
can do your best, but
you can try. But so yeah, any final thoughts on this stuff before we sign off?
No, just pay attention. We'll be, I'm going to put up a tweet probably at some point, and you can sign up to try and go on these lives. And come on, it's a blast. And you can start the contest with your friends too. It doesn't have to be ones that we start, but keep an eye out, obviously, for all the content, especially the stuff surrounding this and the draft. We're due to do a episode about recruits, maybe with a little bit of fantasy football action mixed in there. So look out for another episode of Every Day is Draft Day.
Oh, wait. There's always another episode, no matter what.
Always.
There's always something to talk about.
Always.
All right. Well, that'll do it for us today. So everyone, have a great weekend. I'm Eagle NFF. She's Steffi Smalls. And enjoy the Masters.
See you guys.
Everyone's a golf fan. So
everyone's a golf